They finally got him. This terrible example of a human being, apparently radicalized in college. He is a 22-year-old man, only about 250 miles away in Utah. His family's apparently Mormon, MAGA, Trump supporters, but he clearly disagrees. Let's go to the tape.
We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus. Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in that conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed that roommate, who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord. These photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact named Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson's roommate's device. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler, stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where a rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also refer to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact Tyler also mentioned that he had changed outfits. I know there's been speculation as well as to the writing on those casings, those bullet casings, and I believe we have that as well. And I will share that with you now. So the area north of Campus Drive Road where the suspect crossed over, you saw some of that in the video that we released last night, consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices, bulges, capital OWO, what's this, question mark." Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point." Up arrow symbol, right arrow, and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, chow, chow," and a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO."
This guy is such a kid. It sounds like something I would have wrote when I was 22. It's just crazy that he felt so strong to kill Kirk. It's such a rash thing to do, to actually kill someone. It's just interesting. It's interesting to me that he felt like he's in the right. He felt like he's so sure that he's in the right. He felt justified.
This is what happens when you let good cops be cops. The FBI and our partners are proud to stand here today together to bring justice to the family of Charlie Kirk and honor his memory. I want to express my deep gratitude to President Trump, the evidence response team tacticians, the special operators, the agents, the support staff. You have done monumental work in historic time when the public, who had a right to demand such an expeditious solving of an investigation, the FBI answered that call. Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Thank you, and good morning. I would just like to take a few minutes as the sheriff to express my gratitude for everybody who has played a part in this investigation.
Sheriff, I got a solid 90 minutes last night, so I'm probably the most well-rested person up here with eyes wide open, understand what's happening in our country today. I've heard.
I like this guy. He's kind of smooth. Like he's a guy I would have a beer with. He seems like a cool guy to hang out with. He's like so calm up there, collected. He's cracking jokes. I actually really like this guy, the governor. I see why he's the governor.
People say, well, why are we so invested in this? There's violence happening all across our country, and violence is tragic everywhere. And every life taken is a child of God who deserves our love and respect and dignity. This is certainly about the tragic death, political assassination of Charlie Kirk. But it is also much bigger than an attack on an individual. It is an attack on all of us. It is an attack on the American experiment. It is an attack on our ideals. This cuts to the very foundation of who we are, of who we have been, and who we could be in better times. Political violence is different than any other type of violence for lots of different reasons. One, because in the very act that Charlie championed of expression, that freedom of expression that is enshrined in our founding documents, in having his life taken in that very act makes it more difficult for people to feel like they can share their ideas, that they can speak freely. We will never be able to solve all the other problems, including the violence problems that people are worried about, if we can't have a clash of ideas safely and securely, especially those ideas with which you disagree. That's why this matters so much. Over the last 48 hours, I have been as angry as I have ever been, as sad as I have ever been. And it was, as anger pushed me to the brink, it was actually Charlie's words that pulled me back. I'd like to share some of those. And specifically right now, if I could, I need to talk to the young people in our state, in my state, and all across the country. As President Trump reminded me, he said, you know who really loved Charlie? The youths. And he's right. Young people loved Charlie, and young people hated Charlie. And Charlie went into those places anyway. And these are the words that have helped me. Charlie said, when people stop talking, that's when you get violence. He said, the weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. The only way out of the labyrinth of suffering is to forgive. Welcome without judgment, love without condition, forgive without limit. He said, always forgive your enemies. Nothing annoys them so much. A few months ago, I referenced this last night, Charlie posted to social media, when things are moving very fast and people are losing their minds, it's important to stay grounded. Turn off your phone, read scripture, spend time with friends, and remember, internet fury is not real life. It's going to be okay. He again said, when you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to commit violence. He said, what we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have a reasonable agreement, where violence is not an option. Now, again, to my young friends out there, you are inheriting a country where politics feels like rage. It feels like rage is the only option. But through those words, we have a reminder that we can choose a different path. Your generation has an opportunity to build a culture that is very different than what we are suffering through right now. Not by pretending differences don't matter, but by embracing our differences and having those hard conversations. I think we need more moral clarity right now. I hear all the time that words are violence. Words are not violence. Violence is violence. And there is one person responsible for what happened here. And that person is now in custody and will be charged soon and will be held accountable. And yet all of us have an opportunity right now to do something different. I want to thank my fellow Utahns.
He's going to get the death penalty. Almost for sure he's going to get the death penalty. In Utah, they're going to give him the death penalty. Almost for sure. Almost 100% he's going to get the death penalty. But it might take 20 years for him to actually die. Hey, chat, what's the average time that people spend on death row in Utah? It says in Utah, inmates now spend on average nearly 34 years on death row. So he's 22. So he could be 57 years old before they actually is executed. So it could be a long time before he's actually dead.
And for 33 hours, I was praying that that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us.
He's a religious man, religious guy.
State, somebody came from another country. Sadly, that prayer was not answered the way I had hoped for, just because I thought it would make it easier on us if we could just say, hey, we don't do that here. And indeed, Utah is a special place. We lead the nation in charitable giving. We lead the nation in service every year. But it did happen here, and it was one of us. But I want you to look at how Utahns reacted the last 2 nights. There was no rioting. There was no looting. There were no cars set on fire. There was no violence. There were vigils and prayers and people coming together to share the humanity. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe is the answer to this. We can return violence with violence. We can return hate with hate. And that's the problem with political violence, is it metastasizes, because we can always point the finger at the other side. And at some point, we have to find an off-ramp, or it's going to get much, much worse. Every single one of us gets to choose right now if this is a turning point for us. We get to make decisions. We have our agency. And I desperately call on every American, Republican, Democrat, liberal, progressive, conservative.
There's like 2 Americas that I'm saying. There's 2 Americas. There's a religious America and there's like a secular America. And they're 2 different Americas. The problem that you have is that religion creates shared morality. So if you're let's say a Catholic, so Catholicism teaches you right from wrong, and you have a different right from wrong than, let's say, a Presbyterian or a Muslim or a Jew. You have slightly different moralities based on your religion. I would say of the religions, probably Judaism and Christianity is the closest, because Jews lived in Christian countries for pretty much 2,000 years. Like, Christianity was formed mainly in Greece, and Jews were there the entire time. And Jews continued to live in Europe all the way until today. So Jews have lived the longest really in Christian countries, versus Islam came later. Islam was much more extreme in its treatment of Jews, in that Islam mandates certain treatment for Jews, versus Christianity, there's no law regarding how Jews should be treated. It's more up to each individual society and each individual leader what they want to do regarding the Jews. I like this governor, man. He obviously believes in God. He's obviously a man of faith, and he's quoting an Israeli Jew, Yuval Levin. Let's look up Yuval Levin real quick. Yuval Levin, American Enterprise Institute, Beth and Raphael Curry Chair in Public Charity, Editor-in-Chief, Natural Affairs, Congress, Presidency and the Courts, Law, Regulation, Constitution, Director of Social, Cultural, and Constitutional Studies at the American Enterprise Institute. Okay, so maybe he's not Israeli. Yuval Levin is a very Israeli-sounding name. Dr. Levin. So he's a doctor. Let's see. He served as a member of the White House domestic policy staff under George Bush. Wow, that's a big feather in his cap. Executive Director of President's Council on Bioethics and Congressional Staffer. What is his background though? He holds an MA and PhD from the Committee on Social Thought at the University of Chicago. Wow. But I want to know his background. He's got a Wikipedia page. And he's definitely an Israeli. I knew he's Israeli. That Yuval is very Israeli. There's no way American person would name their kid Yuval. I don't believe so anywhere. Israeli-American conservative political analyst, academic, and journalist. He's the founding editor of National Affairs, the director of Social Cultural. I already said that earlier. Levin is the vice president. I already said that. He was born in Haifa, moved to the United States at the age of 8. He went to Hillsborough High School. He graduated American University, Bachelor of Arts in Political Science, earned Master of Arts PhD for Community Social Thought at the University of Chicago. He writes about political theory, science, technology, and public policy. I think that's totally true. Political theory and public policy. For these things are deeply connected. I think politics really is rooted in political philosophy. It's much better understood when it's understood in the light of political philosophy. Now it makes sense. Policy flows from philosophy. And the light of policy debates we have make more sense if you see the people arguing about two ways of understanding what the human person is and what human society is, especially what the liberal society is. The left and the right of our country are both liberal. They both believe in a free society, but they mean something very different by that. Conservatism, Levin has notably said, understands society is not just individuals and government, but thinks in terms of everything that happens in between. The huge space between the individual and the state is where society actually is. I think that's true. Society can only exist in freedom. Society is in all the individual decisions of individuals, right? That's society. The state, by contrast, is a mechanism of force, of law, meaning you have to do this, you have to do that, and there's no real wiggle room. You have to pay your taxes. If you don't follow the law, you'll be punished severely. Let's see. There you go. Born in Israel, but he's been in America basically his whole life. Very Israeli looking guy. Very Israeli, but he's an American also.
He said, I'm not optimistic. He said, I hate optimism. Like, that sounds bad. But he said, optimism is a vice. It's this idea that good things are just going to happen. And he said, in the history of the world, good things have never just happened. He says, I'm not optimistic, but I am hopeful. Hope is the virtue that sits between the vices of optimism and pessimism. Hope is the idea that good things are going to happen because we can make them so. I still believe in our country. And I know Charlie Kirk.
Very Israeli-like way of thinking. Very Israeli. Like anything that happens is because we're going to make it happen. Like the whole motto of the early Zionist settlers in Israel was, if we will it, it is no dream. The national anthem of Israel is called the Hope, Hatikva, the Hope. It's a hope that we have. We're not optimistic, but we hope it will happen because we're gonna make it. We're gonna do everything we can to make it happen, and that's the way Israelis are to this day. Even though the whole world's condemning Israel right now, at least most of the world, there's a lot of people support Israel. A lot of people are impressed by Israel. There's a loud minority attacking Israel, and there's a large, I think, silent majority who actually are awed by Israel. How is this little state able to do this? And when it's framed as Israel versus all these nations, then Israel is lauded. And when it's framed as Israel versus Palestinians, they are condemned.
Believed in our country. I still believe that there is more good among us than evil. And I still believe that we can change the course of history. I'm hopeful because Americans can make it so. Ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Whether the suspect is speaking with authorities and his demeanor, Tyler Robinson, when he turned himself in.
I cannot speak to that. Well, I will leave that up to you to interpret what those engravings mean. I think the clearest one that says "catch fascist," there's not. And by the way, that's like catch like a ball, catch this. That's I think that speaks for itself.
Governor,
Please.
This level of danger that this person expresses. Beyond that, is there anything in your view that you discovered that may have radicalized or changed the problem?
That's my question.
There's nothing more that we can share at this time. Yeah, please.
Indicated that he had been communicating with a friend about the gun. Do you anticipate any more arrests?
We do not at this time have any information that would lead to any additional arrests. Yes, but the investigation is ongoing.
How he came into custody of police and where he is right now?
Yes. So right now, Mr. Robinson has been booked into the Utah County Jail. You heard the president this morning report that he was taken into custody. That his family and a friend helped to deliver him into custody of law enforcement in Washington County. For those of you that don't know where Washington County is, it is the southwesternmost part of the state of Utah. It's about a 3.5 to 4 hour drive from here, where we are right now, and that's where he lived and where they turned him in. Please go here. I can't share any more than what I've already shared. Okay. So how we obtained the gun was found here. So I don't have much more details on that. We do know that he drove. We had his car here on campus, and then we had his car going south back to the St. George. It's actually the city of Washington in Washington County.
Talking with authorities and getting discussing low.
All right. We don't have any information that would lead us to believe that. Yes, in fact, it was just released. Yes.
Did he discuss a motive?
I can't answer that right now. Yeah, thank you. Over here. Please. I absolutely believe that this is a watershed in American history. Yes. The question is, what kind of watershed? And that chapter remains to be written. Is this the end of a dark chapter in our history, or the beginning of a darker chapter in our history? Look, I mean, if you look at true political assassinations in this country of someone of this stature, this feels a lot like the late 60s, and having one so gruesomely displayed on camera in all of our hands and in all of our pockets. We are not wired as human beings biologically, historically. We have not evolved in a way that we are capable of processing those types of violent imagery. And by the way, we've seen another one with a gruesome stabbing very recently that went viral. This is not good for us. It is not good to consume. Social media is a cancer on our society right now. And I would encourage people to log off, turn off, touch grass, hug a family member, go out and do good in your community. That is happening, and it's happening organically right now. I had a friend in a small city in Utah who said, we're getting together. The Republicans and Democrats in my little town are getting together to have a discussion last night, just to find a way to find their better angels. So
This is what we need to do. Like, a lot of people didn't like what Charlie Kirk had to say, but I think that what he did was very positive. And basically, it's getting with people you disagree with and talking to them. Try to understand their position. Try to honestly understand where they're coming from and connect with them as a human being, even though you disagree. But try to connect as a person. And a lot of times, once you do that, it changes everything, because you can kind of understand where they're coming from. This reminds me of if you ever read Ender's Game. In Ender's Game, you know, the famous book, they made a movie about it. There's a whole series of books. I think there's like 10 books. And basically in the story, it was a boy who was conned into doing genocide of an entire race. And essentially there was these alien bugs who were attacking Earth, and they sent a bunch of ships to fight them. And at the end, Ender destroyed all of them. But he didn't know that. He thought it was a game. It's called Ender's Game. No, it was real. Anyway, in the book, it's a whole evolution as he grows up, having been this basically genocider. He ends up living, I think, 1,000 years or something through artificial technology. And basically what happened was he was remembered as this terrible person, even though he didn't even know it was real what he was doing. And he did kind of save the human race. I mean, he destroyed this alien people, but he saved the human race because there was a real threat from them. But if he would have known that it was real, he wouldn't have been so brutal. He would have been more patient with them. Anyway, long story short, the point is, he talked about how if you know somebody perfectly, you have to love them. Like, if you knew somebody as well as yourself, you knew every detail of them, you have to love them. I think that's true. It's like we naturally love our parents as kids. We naturally love our siblings, even though we might, as time goes on, we get older, we might grow apart. We might become angry about this or that. But when you really know somebody really, really, really well, you kind of grow to love them. Like, you have to love them. It's when you're starting to know someone and then you learn things you don't like, that's when you pull back. But once you get past that point, you end up loving somebody, even if they're a terrible person. That's how we're built. So if we just talk to each other, especially in real life and not through the internet, because the internet it disfigures the human face. If you can talk to somebody in real life and interact with them, even if you disagree, it's hard. It's really hard to hate each other. It's really hard.
I would encourage people to log off, turn off, touch grass, hug a family member, go out and do good in your community. That is happening, and it's happening organically right now. I had a friend in a small city in Utah who said, we're getting together. The Republicans and Democrats in my little town are getting together to have a discussion last night, just to find a way to find their better angels. So yes, this could be. I mean, again, you have to go back to JFK to have seen a video live of something like this happening. I wasn't born until 1975, but I know that things were really dark in the late 60s. Sorry to some of you. I know some of you were there. But this is our moment. Do we escalate, or do we find an off-ramp? And again, it's a choice. It's a choice. And every one of us gets to make that choice.
Yeah, so there you have it. They got him. I'm kind of disappointed because I was hoping that, like the governor, I was hoping he would be a foreigner, some kind of foreign agent, or he would be somebody at least wasn't born here. But he's like a good old native of Utah, which kind of makes sense because when people commit crimes, they tend to commit crimes where they're comfortable, where they're familiar. So if you're a sniper, you're going to go probably more in your state if you want to commit an assassination versus to go to some random place. So I guess it kind of makes sense. But I mean, basically, it's just like this guy was radicalized by the internet. He wasn't radicalized by going to college. He was radicalized by memes on the internet. And even when you hear what he wrote on the bullets, it's like stupid stuff that you would write on a Instagram post or something, or a Reddit post, or an X post. That was the kind of stuff that he was writing down. So it's just a dumb kid who took the whole internet outrage way too seriously, and he actually ended a man's life. And I think if he would have actually went down and actually talked to Kirk, if he would have actually taken an opportunity instead of killing Kirk, if he would have actually went down there and talked with him, I think we would have had a totally different story. I just imagine, I think that Kirk, we need to all become Charlie Kirk. We are all Charlie Kirk now. We need to all, it's not about holding this opinion or that opinion. It's about, we need to all talk to people that we disagree with. We need to all go out of our way to find people that have a different view than ours. And we need to talk to them. We need to talk to them, and we need to, try to find some common ground. And, but the main point is just, we need to talk to each other. As simple as that. We need to talk to each other. And that's really the lesson in all this. It's not about somebody can hold the most awful opinions that we don't agree with, but we should still be able to talk to them. We should still be able to find some kind of common ground. And that's what Charlie Kirk was doing. People found a lot of hot takes on the internet that they disagree with from him. But that's not what Charlie Kirk was about. It's not about his hot takes. The thing about opinions is that they can change. There's three parts to an opinion. The first thing is the fact. Is it backed up by facts? The second part is why is this happening? And the third part is what do we do about it? And those are three different things. And what happens is people combine them all into one. For instance, Charlie Kirk would say that black people were better under segregation. And it's true as far as the metrics. Black people you had more successful people in the black community, like living in the black community. So you had more money circulating, more investment in the black community, basically, when we had segregation, because I guess there's nowhere else for the money to go. You had much higher rate of fathers in the homes. You had much higher rate of achievement in the black community. And when this segregation went, all the people who could leave left. That's basically what happened. And all you had left in the black community, meaning like the inner city, places where it's mostly or almost exclusively black, you had a hollowing out where people, it was capital flight. Anyone who had money, anyone who had something going for themselves, over time they left. And it's to the point now where, people like Chief Keef or like other people who are Jennifer Hudson, who are actually from the black inner city community, once they become more successful, they have to leave, because if they don't leave, they end up being robbed and killed, like Nipsey Hussle. You know, he stayed in the black community even though he's very successful. I believe he was a multimillionaire. He had multiple businesses, but he stayed in the black community because that's what he believed in, and it got him killed because some random guy was offended or felt disrespected. And you know, a lot of times these people in these inner city communities, they feel like they don't have anything to lose, and you don't want to be around anybody who feels like they have nothing to lose. You want to get away from those people as quickly as possible, because people who don't feel like they have anything to lose, they'll do anything. They have no limits. Anyway, peace and love.